Mhm. Here we are. Happy Tuesday, everyone at home. Thanks for watching. If you pulled it up and you got it open, appreciate you greatly. Hey, we got a different type of show today. We're going to have some contributors from the staff come from AFN. Going to break down some games, have some discussion, and try not to ramble. We're going to really try to stick to our points here and then discuss what's needed and to get these reviews across for these games. But welcome in. It's great to have you if you're listening. It's been a busy weekend for me. I just got back from Houston last night. I'm pretty wore out, not going to lie. And then we're back to Memphis next week for more games. So should be a good time. I can vouch that every game was covered by AFN staff member, whether it be a fan or media attendance. Everyone was at a game. Great output. We've got some good articles coming. It's a great thing, and I'm pretty proud of the crew we got. So keep in mind, this is some of their first times coming on live, so give them a break when they come on. All right, guys, let's keep it civil and let's keep it clean. All right. Like I said, we're looking at four to five different live appearances, and then we got a clip we'll play. So we'll get to that in just a second, but I kind of want to give you an overview of the show before I start rambling about everything that I ramble about. So, like I said, this last week I was in Houston. It was a great time. I went to a fan event there. A lot of pictures, a lot of videos. I'll try to have those on Instagram and Facebook within the next couple of days. Man, it's a great time to see the fandom in Houston. I mean, I know right now people are really looking down on Houston in terms of playing, but people really love that team there, and I'm pretty proud of what they shown me just from hanging out and meeting the new Houston Roughnecks. Uh, the game itself was a good time. It was a lot of energy. There was a lot going on. It did not feel like it was a lame duck game or anything like that. I think it looked great, and we had a good time. It was very busy. Rice Stadium is old, but it is beautiful, and the area surrounding it in Houston right there is great. It's probably one of the best areas I was in since I've been visiting Houston for the UFL. So enjoyed that. Appreciate Houston for having me. Thank you, Brittany Rader. She is the media person there in Houston. So thank you, Brittany. This next week, I'll be going to Memphis, going to hang out with Andy Sealy and see what the Showboats are about there with their media. So we'll see how it goes. But anywho, guys, we're going to go ahead and get these game breakdowns started. Week 1 was an exciting one for the most part. I mean, I can't say it was the best week for spring football, but it definitely was a good one. We had some good matchups. We had some lame matchups, and we had some rock fights, but it is what it is. A lot of the debate right now is going on who's better, USFL or XFL. Right now, the USFL is winning that battle, unfortunately. But regardless, we got good football. It was a holiday weekend. We'll discuss the numbers as well when we get through this. So I'm super grateful for everything that's going on, whether it be with AFN, the UFL, or anything in between. Good times, and look forward to the rest of the season, see how it unfolds. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Brady Ray on. He is Overtime Underdog on Facebook and Twitter. He's going to break down the game there in Arlington, tell us more about the Stallions and the Renegades, and just kind of talk a little bit more. After he is finished, I'll play a clip from Demarcus Colors, and he had a couple good points that he wanted to make regarding that game as well. So without further introduction, Brady, how you doing, man?
Hey, Matthew. Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you coming on tonight. Last minute as well. I asked you last night at what, 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, man. Working overtime.
Got to do it to it, right? That's the
Yes, sir.
overtime
Yes,
underdog,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
So, did you watch the game Saturday? I mean, you watched it
Uh,
live?
Bits and pieces at work. We had it put up on multiple TVs, so I was looking back, as much as I could, but I ended up watching the replay just the other night. So technically, yes, I did watch it.
There you go. That's what I want to say. Yeah, just real life always comes first. That's what I say, man. So I
Hmm.
understand. And even like the San Antonio game, I had to go back and rewatch because I couldn't watch it due to the
Hmm.
scheduling. Things were just too crazy to watch that there. Uh,
Right. I got to watch the majority of that one. So before I went to work. So.
gotcha.
Hmm.
Well, Brady, why don't you tell us more about the game? Break it down for us. Give us a little rundown of how things went, and then I'm going to play some stuff in the background and do my thing. All right?
All right, can do.
Yes, sir.
Uh, First off, all around strong performance for Birmingham across the board, offense and defense. Um, to me, they set the precedent. San Antonio close second there, but with Carell and Martinez coming in, two quarterback system. Carell first quarter very slow. We put up 0 points in the first quarter. But as you can see through the second quarter and onward, he started to heat up a little bit. CJ Marable once again this year, hot target. 18 attempts, 67 yards, one touchdown. Ricky Person coming in, backing him up, being a nice number two. Carell loved hitting Deion Kane. He peppered a lot of targets throughout the game, but Deion Kane being his favorite with 3 for 66 and a touchdown. Um, Martinez, even though he got hurt, I thought this was a crazy stat. Through 3 carries, he got 52 yards rushing,
Wow.
so good average of 17.3 before he went down for the game. And something I had mentioned like about a month or two ago, Luis Perez was the key to beating Arlington. If you can stop him, you can stop essentially the entire team. Their defense did put up a fight, most of the secondary. But Luis, when we started to pressure him, get him moving a little bit more, you saw the early fumble in the first quarter. And then, of course, we forced the interception at the end of the game, but, he was forced to make a play at the end. He still threw 68%, but only, 14 points? So, all in all, defense looking very good for week one. Yeah, third down conversions as well. This was neat. Even though Arlington had a good, I felt a strong defense at first, they let us go 8 for 12 on third down conversions, while they only had a 6 for 11. And yeah, and then also Arlington, once they got in the red zone, over 2. So very up and down offense for them. Defense, I think it's there. I think they just played the better team. And once again, Birmingham, I think, has set the precedent for this new league and also has put the USFL on the map.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, that's the crazy stat to me, too, was that Perez threw for a game high during this game, and they still had the L, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. No, and he's incredibly smart. I mean, the man's got a scramble ability like no other. And then, of course, that beautiful pass right there. But that was, like I said, that was only the second. That was 1 out of 2 that Winstead even got. And just very scattered, it felt like, on offense for them. And they never could get the run game started once they got behind, which I felt like the tempo they had in the first quarter was going for something very good. But it ended up flushing out when they started throwing.
Yeah, I mean, 27-14. That's a pretty good win there, and that's not a fluke win for sure. So it is good to see the Stallions come through and show who they are. They kind of had to step up there towards that last half, and they did, and so it was a good thing to see. I know in my picks, I definitely picked them to win, so I'm glad they won on my end.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the attendance real quick. We had just a little over 14,000 in attendance for the Stallions versus Renegades. It averaged 1.181 million viewers on Fox. So this game opened up big time for the UFL and was a big deal. Very successful in terms of TV ratings. The big question is will this fall down as the season goes, or will it stay and be consistent?
I mean, I think you'll see consistent numbers. I think last year we saw across the board consistent with, St. Louis kind of gaining momentum each week. But it may see a dip. But in Arlington, I would see 10,000 for sure, at least next week as well.
I would really hope so as well.
Now, Birmingham, I'm not sure. I mean, they don't go to home till week 3. So I'm not sure by then, though, if they're 2-0 on the road, it may garner enough attention for a lot of fans to come out of the woodwork come week 3 and 4.
Yeah. And we saw a huge difference in the Fox TV average numbers compared to the ESPN. There's a big difference there. And we'll get to the ESPN as we get to more games, but just wanted to note that was pretty impactful. This first game opened up big and was not a disappointment. I'm going to play a clip from Demarcus real quick, and this is more about the Renegades, okay? So he's got a couple points he's making regarding the Renegades. We'll come back. We'll discuss that briefly, and then I'm going to slide into the next contributor.
Can do.
Sounds good. All right, here comes Demarcus. Let me get this off. All right, here's Demarcus Colors discussing Arlington Renegades and how they need to shake the rust off next game.
Going into halftime, I basically gave the defense a B. I thought they really did a decent job against handling that Birmingham offense. You had a number of tipped balls, especially at the beginning of the game. You had a couple of turnovers. I think they did a decent job of getting pressure on the quarterback, and I think that actually takes place throughout the whole game. But you had one issue. If you go back and look at those highlights, I mean, anybody who was at the game, anybody who goes back and watches it on television, you see that all of Birmingham's big plays, just about, I would say 90% of them, it's all middle. CJ Marabell did whatever he wanted to do up the middle. Adrian Martinez running up the middle. It could be a shallow cross up the middle. So I don't know if this was scheme. Maybe Birmingham just did a good job of scheming so that middle would be open. But there were some times where you would look at the lineup and you'd see nobody handling the middle of the field. And it was almost as like they were just saying, like, look, here's the landing script. Go ahead and land the plane. Again, I'm not Bob Stoops. I'm not going to try and say that I'm anywhere as smart as he is. He knows what he's doing. He's a defensive coach. But I came out of that game wondering why. I certainly thought, okay, after halftime, I'm pretty sure they'll fix this. They didn't. It was constantly exploited. And I think that not being able to defend the middle of the field is what cost Arlington this game. That and just boneheaded defensive misstep at the end of the half. 9 seconds left. Birmingham can only throw the ball deep. That's all they can do. They can't run the ball because there's 9 seconds left. You can't do anything. You can't do anything running the ball. You know, in that situation, the only way that they can get something going is if they throw the ball deep, try to get a Hail Mary in there. Cornerback bites on a double pump. Receivers open in the corner in the end zone, touchdown. You cannot let that happen in that situation. And I don't know who to put that on. I mean, of course, it was the cornerback's fault for biting on it, but somebody's got to tell that guy going into that situation, don't get beat deep. So if you took that play out, I would give the defense an A in the first half. Second half, can't get a running game going, can't keep the defense off the field long enough for them to rest. By the time you get into the fourth quarter, you can tell that defense is just gassed. Can't stop anything over the middle. Offense started to cool down tremendously. Couldn't get anything going. So my takeaway from this game is that, listen, this could have been a tune-up game. It could have been a game where everybody was rusty. Arlington has to knock the rust off next week.
All right, that was some points just from Demarcus regarding Arlington. I mean, do you have anything to respond with that before you roll out?
I mean, he pointed out the offense and how fluid it was, and just constantly connecting, especially over the middle or running up the middle. Most of these guys on offense, the skills positions especially, had been on the same team together for at least 1 year, some 2. And then you got Jamar Smith probably coaching up, getting Matt Corral adjusted to the playbook, and with his caliber of play, he's been in the NFL before. It's more or less last year's offense, just substitute Magoo. And without Scarborough, Ricky Person, filled right in. So, they shouldn't feel so bad about their defense, is what I'm trying to say.
Now that's coming from a fan's perspective as well, though. So that's it's important to remember. But I understand both of y'all's points of view. Brady, I appreciate your time tonight, man. Thank you for coming on and talking about Arlington and the Stallions some more. I know Stallions are your team. Sorry.
No, you're good. Thank you for having me, Matthew.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you greatly, Brady, and we'll be checking in on you more as we go for sure.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, sir. All right. So I'll have the notes with everybody's links for their socials whenever we finish, guys. There was just too many names to include. I do have their names listed, but I didn't want to include all the socials with Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, whatever. It becomes a lot. So let's move on to our next guest, Mike T. Bell. Mike T. Bell, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. How are you, Matthew?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I know you're probably the happiest one in this party, considering your Panthers pulled it off against the Battlehawks last week. I mean, what do you think so far about that? How does that make you feel?
It feels great. Honestly, it's been a crazy offseason watching all of the insiders talk about the Panthers. I wrote an article called "Don't Sleep on the Michigan Panthers." It wasn't that I thought they're going to come out and just destroy people, but I thought they're going to be in every game, and they're going to be there 60 minutes. They're a well-coached team. Almost everyone is back on the coaching staff besides the offensive coordinator. It's his first year, Coach Marcel. And I wanted people to at least give them some respect. So let's get into it. The Battlehawks, clearly the UFL darlings, as they have most of the attendance, most of the fans, and a lot of crazy fans that traveled all the way from St. Louis to Michigan. I got a few videos, some people dressed up in some of those crazy cacaw outfits. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you'll have to go to St. Louis and really experience it, man. It's a whole
I
nother
know.
world.
I would love to. So this kind of had this classic back and forth battlefield to it. It felt like a division rivalry, like NFC North, AFC North of the NFL. It felt like that classic division rivalry, like these two teams have known each other forever. And the first half story was really about the front seven pressure. St. Louis gave EJ Perry some fits in that first half. The press box was such a great view of the game because you kind of got that all 22 view of the situation. And I really noticed right away EJ Perry couldn't get off of his first read, and it just felt like he was forcing throws, and it bit him twice. One of them was inside the red zone. 2 interceptions in the first half really stalled out that Michigan Panthers offense and didn't even allow the run game to get going. That left side of the line is just crumbling in both pass protection and run protection. Same thing for the Panthers, though. They stalled out A.J. McCarron in that first half. 2 sacks made him look uncomfortable, couldn't get the run game going. And then we get to the second half, and finally both teams find their rhythm. A.J. McCarron finally opens up with a big 28-yard pass, gets down the field. Panthers finally start to open things up. E.J. Perry calms down, starts to find a second read, finds his drop downs, and they get some big plays. There's 3 straight passes, 10 yards to Quinn, 30 yards to Sims, and 41 yards to the Big tight end, Hicatini. E.J. Perry can use his legs. A lot of people don't realize that about him. He
I did not
punches
know
it
that.
in. Yeah.
He was moving, man.
He was, and he is confident in his legs. He runs a lot like Josh Allen. He does not slide. He likes to use a stiff arm. But this game really came down to the fourth quarter. And the play of the game that no one is talking about, and we would not even know about Jake Bates if it wasn't for backup defensive tackle Walter Palmer, number 99, stuffing the run on 4th and short inside the 5-yard line. Without that play, we're not seeing Jake Bates. So for him to do that, that really opened up the momentum for the Panthers. Wes Hills immediately starts to take over, shows why he is the reigning USFL rushing champion, has big runs of 19, 18, 24. They had a whole drive where they just ran it the whole way down and scored, put it up 15-9. A.J. McCarron goes back down. He scores again, puts them up 1. There's 44 seconds left on the clock. Battlehawks just need to stop. And it's kind of funny because before that drive, Jake Bates told us in the post game, just get me to the 45-yard line and I'll get it in. And EJ was like, I'm doing the math. And man, he must have meant the 35 because that doesn't make any sense. But anyways, it's 4th and 6. They get a big play, 15 yards to Hightower. And that goes to the 46-yard line. The drive stalls out. There's 8 seconds to go. Jake Bates comes in, and I got to give credit to Mike Mueller, BCP Plus. He called this before this happened, much well before it happened. He said that he had the range pregame. He was knocking him in over 60. He knocks it in. Obviously, he gets iced. Jake says after the game, I didn't even know icing was still a thing. And they line it back up, and he puts it back in. He said it just felt like another day of practice when you line one up, you line the next one up, knocks it home. And obviously, Jake Bates has been everywhere since then, even made it in the Pat McAfee show. And Tony Paul from the Detroit Free Press uncovered something that's not largely out there right now. A lot of people have been talking about the narrative that this is the first meaningful field goal since high school.
Yep.
It's actually his first field goal ever.
Wow.
He didn't kick any field goals in high school. The only field goals of note are in a preseason game with the Texans last year, where he went 2 of 3.
Wow. Well, he'll be getting the call now. No doubt.
It will.
There's
Absolutely.
no doubt in my mind. This guy's going to go somewhere.
Absolutely.
Showing up for special teams, man, it's huge. And I love to see it. I really do.
Absolutely. But really the story of the game is the defense. AJ McCarron could not stop gushing over the front four of the Michigan Panthers. And he said over and over again, those guys are just so big.
Solid D, man. And I will admit, I definitely underestimated the Panthers. And I will not do that again after watching that game. But
Should be a good one against the Stallions. They solidified the QB position with Matt Corral. He can run. So I'm hoping that the Panthers are used to EJ Perry running in practice, and maybe that will help them out a little bit. That second level is the weakness in the Michigan Panthers secondary, and that's where AJ McCarron found his rhythm. We'll see if the Stallions do the same.
Yes, sir. Tell me, you were there as media. How did it feel in terms of people in attendance? How was the energy? I mean, we had 9,444 in attendance. We averaged about 1.3 mil on Fox.
Yeah.
It was pretty big showing, man. And honestly, I did not expect this from over in Michigan. And it's a great thing to see. But how, from your point of view, tell us more about it. I mean, you were up in the box, of course, but I know I've seen you on the field and doing some other things. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I was there last year when it was the USFL, and they brought in WWE superstar Big E to try to kind of help get things going, get the energy going. But the energy on opening day on Saturday was electric. You would have thought there was double the amount of people in attendance, big cheers. There was a few points where you felt like they were pumping in crowd noise, but the energy was electric. The crowd was awesome. It was a great feeling in Ford Field, and I know a lot of people aren't excited about Michigan Panthers being a team in the UFL, but they're here to stay. They got a great venue and a great fan base. It's going to get better and better.
Yes, sir. Agreed with that 100%. And I will say, I want to note too, I mean, those single game home tickets didn't open up for sale until 3 weeks before game time?
March 13th.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we see, I mean, we'll see how Michigan grows, but with this win and this type of play, you can definitely expect fans to show up, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, to watch Jake Bates kick that 64-yarder, people are going to come just to see him again. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. He's been making his rounds all across the way. So I know there was 2 big plays, and I won't mention the other one when I'm with you, but that was one of the biggest was his kick. Well, 64 yards twice in a row.
Yep. That was amazing.
Yes, sir. Well, Mike, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on today, telling us more about the game. We'll be checking in more with you as well as the weeks come on. So look forward to that. You'll be at home next week. Who do you guys play again? The Stallions?
We got the Stallions.
Yeah. So that should be a good time either way it goes, man.
Absolutely. Hopefully it's a dogfight. Hopefully we keep it close.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye. All righty. As we go, it's going pretty good, pretty smooth. Like I said, this is our first time doing this together. Being live, it's a little more difficult, but it's working out well. Everybody's doing a really good job. They've got their own little flavor and way of doing things. So appreciate the guys and the work so far. Oh, next up, we'll have XFL Mike G and RJ, the Bullish Brahma, coming on to tell us more about the San Antonio game. How's it going tonight, fellas?
Going great.
Good. How are you doing?
Very good. So you guys had a good time during your game. I'm a little jealous. I did not get to watch that game. It's the only one I really didn't get to watch just due to the scheduling on Sunday. So, guys, tell me more about it. Break it down for me and do your thing.
All right. Well, for me, my first key takeaway I had, and I think it's probably the most important, was the improvement over last year in the offensive line. The Brahmas had allowed only 1 sack in the game, and they left the game intact. I think it's very important because last year they lost 4 of the 5 starting linemen in week 1. So having the fact that they walked away healthy is so very important. They did give up some pressures, but with Chase Garber's mobility, it did keep plays alive. But yeah, for me, that was the number one takeaway was our offensive line improving and being healthy.
Understood. Yeah, the team just looked like it was clicking on all cylinders. And I'll say, being as the Houston guy I was last year, I mean, this is the Roughnecks almost playing. So you guys got some stellar stuff going.
We're not doing that. No.
Well, tell me your opinion then, because it's a lot of the same staff and players, sir. I gotta say.
Well, we've kind of moved on from that. You know, people were in the preseason were like, are they the Brahmas? Are they the Roughnecks? Or we've moved on from that. This is the 2024 San Antonio Brahmas.
Tell that to a Roughnecks fan, sir.
Oh, I will.
Tell that to a Roughnecks fan.
I'll tell it to anyone who wants to hear it. Matter of fact,
let's break this
Roughnecks
game down.
fans couldn't be talking about anything this weekend.
Let's break this game down. Let's go.
All right. So the new look offense, AJ Smith's run and shoot, air raid hybrid offense came into the Alamo Dome and put in work. They were aggressive from the start, starting off with a short pass, a 28-yard pass from former Steeler Anthony McFarland from Chase Garber to Anthony McFarland, as you see there on the highlight, that he's tightrope the sideline and jumped in and dived over the pylon. Anthony McFarland had a great game. 127 yards total from offense and kick returns. He had 9 rushes for 47 yards. He had that 1 reception for the 28-yard touchdown, and he had 52 yards on kickoff returns. Lost 2 shoes, but you know that'll change as the season goes on. Hopefully,
tape them up, maybe.
Yeah, we in the first quarter we only gave up 1 field goal, and then Garbers showed off his arm and hit guy that I'm really excited to talk about, and the guy that you know very well, Matt, John Trey Kirkland,
former Roughneck.
former Roughneck.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. I was really happy to see him be successful.
Oh yeah, he had one touchdown, but he also ended up with 8 catches for 61 yards. Had himself a tremendous game. Did you want to go second quarter, or do you want
let's roll.
to jump in there?
All right, whatever you guys want to do, let's do it.
Second quarter was 2 field goals for DC. Nothing big, nothing major. But our defense answered a lot of questions too. Were they going to be the same defense that we had last year? The switch from the 4-3 to 3-4 Wade Phillips defense was evident. We kept a lot of our front 7 intact. I'm sorry, we didn't keep a lot of them. We kept Delonte Scott and my personal favorite, Jordan Williams, who had 10 tackles. He was second in the league this weekend with tackles. He was the league leader last year. A guy that we could talk about is Wyatt Ray, who had a sack and a half of the 4 sacks that we had for this defense in this game against DC. And I was a little surprised with the sack total, giving Tiamo's mobility. He didn't really scramble too much. We kind of kept him in check. Lack of a run game hurt them definitely. So that would give us that leads us up to Thick 6. Everybody's heard about it. Everybody's talking about it. Anthony Millette, who was he was a former.
No, I'm not doing it. It's your turn this time. You got
former Roughneck, all XFL center, who was lined up on the end. He was an eligible receiver. Towards the end of the quarter, there, the Brahmas had lined up at about the 40-yard line. It was 4th down, and they were going to kick the ball, and it would have been about a 57, 58-yard kick. DC went ahead and iced him, and he missed the kick. So after they did that, I noticed Coach Pardee was gathering the guys on the sideline and talking to them. And usually when the special teams coaches are having a meeting, there's something coming up. And that's when they motioned Donald De La Haye out wide, who he's played some receiver. And Brad Wing took the snap after a motion. And destroying was the original first option, but he was covered. He actually drew some coverage. But the center didn't. He was wide open. Caught the ball inside the 10 and then rumbled in for the touchdown. And it's huge. Everybody loved it. That stadium got so loud. You know, it felt like we had 25 or 30,000 people in there with that touchdown score.
Hey, play of the week, no doubt. That thing, it's awesome to see, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, third quarter, there wasn't really much scoring. There was another DC field goal. Again, it was props to our defense. Our defense did give up a lot of passing yards, but typically that happens when a team is down and they're just trying to get back into the game by throwing. So, I mean, that led right up, and that was man, I can't talk today. That played right into the arms of our defense. So, so going into the fourth quarter, all game long, I'd watched highlights of Chase Garber, and I was like, when is he going to show off the wheels? And when's he going to break off a run? He showed excellent mobility in the pocket, moving around, but he didn't really break off any long runs. And as soon as I say that, he goes for 5 yards and plunges into the end zone for the touchdown. But I was thoroughly impressed with him and the offense. With Jontre Kirkland and Anthony McFarland, we barely have scratched the surface with the amount of weapons that we have in this offense.
Agreed.
Cody Latimer only had one reception. Wait till he gets going. Wait till AJ Smith realizes all the weapons that he's got. So agreed. I will turn it over to Brahma Bulletin. RJ there. Do some wrap up here.
All right. So that was a great game summary, Mike.
Agreed. It was pretty good.
So on top of my number one key, which was the offensive line, like you said, Mike, I thought the offense looked so much improved over last year. I mean, last year the offense struggled mightily in the end zone. But for this game, the Brahmas went 2 for 2 in the red zone, and they did not even need to kick a field goal, so destroying wasn't even needed. The red zone offense was a major Achilles heel for the Brahmas last year, so converting on all of their red zone chances is extremely important. And on top of that, what kind of goes under the radar is they converted on all 3 of their 1-point attempts, and as we all know, in the UFL, there is no extra point kicks. It's all offensive plays, and we converted on all 3 of our 1 points. And we did fail the 2 points, but last year we saw a lot of failed attempts on those extra points. So the fact that we are converting at a high rate, those points can come in very crucial at the end of the game. And Mike, you said it well. The defense picked up they picked off where they left off last year, especially Jordan Williams. He was a leading tackler in the XFL, and he finished the game with 10 tackles. We did force 1 turnover and interception that was almost ran back to the house. I mean, you can see in the play that the defenders were begging him to slow down so they can get in front of him and block him, but he just was too excited, and I think he ran out of gas and couldn't get into the end zone. But we eventually did capitalize on that turnover. We did get the 4 sacks. We were hounding Ta'amu all game long, and our red zone defense. So not only was our red zone offense effective, but our red zone defense was effective as well too, as the defenders went 0 for 3 in the red zone, and they settled for all field goals. So you're talking about a high-powered offense that was held out of the end zone all game long. Now, I'd take that any game of the week.
Definitely.
Agreed.
The one negative thing I would have to say is the penalties. Now, we did have some pretty silly penalties, especially on defense. We committed 7 penalties, and one of them wiped out a touchdown reception by Jontre Kirkland. Luckily, we did recover. But that one drive, the defenders were backed up in the shadow of their own red zone. It was facing 3rd and forever. We had a stupid personal foul call, which gave them a first down. They would eventually drive down, got a touchdown that was reversed because Wade successfully challenged a call, and so they got that taken back. And they were in another 3rd and long, and we had another stupid penalty, which gave them life. And thankfully for us, Tom threw that interception, so it didn't cost us. But yeah, those penalties, we need to clean that up immediately, and I think that Wade Phillips will do just that. He's not going to play around with that.
Yeah, totally agree, guys. The thing about this team is, man, they were just clicking, and it looked good. This is, in my opinion, in watching, this was one of the best offensive units of the week, if not the best, in terms of actually watching some productive play. It was very appeasing to a football fan.
Yes, sir.
I'm ashamed I couldn't watch it live. I would have liked to watch it live for sure. Let's talk about the attendance, guys. You had 13,000, a little over 13,000 in attendance. You averaged 960K viewers on ESPN. So it's not as high as Fox, but it's definitely still high. ESPN, we know not everyone has that channel anymore. And as well as the attendance, tell us, how was the feel there? What was the energy like? And could you feel that 13,000?
Oh yeah, I sure did. I thought the attendance was great considering it was Easter Sunday
Agreed.
at 11 o'clock with most church services in service and in a predominant Catholic city.
Yep.
So the fact that we had 13,000 there, I thought was really good. And I think that's just going to be our baseline. I mean, these are hardcore Brahma fans, and I think you can guarantee to have at least this 13,000 game in and game out. And yeah, I thought the energy was fantastic. It was nice and loud in there.
Mike, what do you think? Are we going to look at an increase in this attendance as we go, or as we get better, as the Brahmas get better, or is we going to look at the increase?
Had this game been on a Saturday, the day before, you easily would have had 20,000 in there. It's a no-brainer. Having it that early on Easter Sunday, somebody had to do it, but we did it. But you know what? We got the worst slot, but we had the second highest attendance out of the UFL this weekend, and only by, I think, 1,000 or so. I think Arlington beat us by 1,000. But I was sitting in the corner end zone, and RJ was actually sitting opposite of me on the opposite sideline. So I wanted to ask him what it looked like. Now, from my point of view, I couldn't really see our sideline, but I would, looking across, you could see the outline of where the tickets were sold, you know, a couple of rows in the front and then like an outline of each section. But I wanted to ask RJ how that looked on his end.
You know, for mine, I was sitting in the Lone Star Club. I'm one of the founding members of the Lone Star Club, so I had a nice little bird's eye view right there in the 50-yard line. And on my side, there was a big section that was empty, but just looking at there was nice big sections that was jam-packed full of fans. I thought the attendance looked really good, especially with our time slot.
Love to see it, fellas. I'm going to have to attend one live now for sure. I'll be in Memphis next week for the Brahmas taking on the Showboats. Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. But I appreciate you guys both. Anything else before we hop off and get KJ Disciple on to talk about his attendance in Houston?
I just want to say it was a thank you to the Horns Forward podcast. They were gracious hosts for me and my nephew this weekend. Well, we did a little bit of tailgating. I'd never tailgated before, so I got the full experience, and I got to walk around the Alamo Dome and enjoy it. Also, an event for the season ticket holders. After the game, we got to meet 3 players. Now, they didn't tell us who the players were until we got there, and the first one was Destroying, and obviously, there's autographs and pictures. Anthony McFarland was there, but they didn't tell us who he was. We didn't know it was him. So we kind of got the autograph, and it's like, okay, thank you. And if I had known that was him, I'd have been like, oh, man, you had such a great game. Because he really did. And he is going to be the Max Borghi for this offense. He's fully is. I mean, I can't wait to see this guy go.
I'm excited for you guys and that team and all the fans there in San Antonio. You guys definitely earned it. And hopefully you'll show up and show out as the future unfolds.
Yes, sir.
Hey, guys, while we got these two on, don't forget they have a show also. Now, your guys' show, It's coming on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Central, correct?
7 p.m.
Yes, sir.
I'll let you plug it. Go ahead and plug it up. Do what you do.
RJ?
So, yes, sir. We do have, Mike and I do have our own show that we do every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. It's called Chewing the Cud. I like the cow puns, so that kind of runs into our show. So this week we're going to be reviewing our game predictions that we made for this game. We're going to compare our predictions with viewers. We had a bunch of viewers that submitted theirs, so we're going to hold a nice little accountability section, and then we're going to do our reviews on the Showboats versus the Brahmas game, as well as the Gunslingers and the Northern Arizona Wranglers in the IFL.
Sounds good. Yeah, a lot going on your way. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to come on tonight. Great.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Always,
Thank you.
fellas.
All right. Lawrence 4, baby.
On that note, take it easy, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. What is up? KJ, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm all pumped up now. We're over here producing this podcast. I'm clicking in, clicking out. Guys at home, if you're commenting, I'm trying to get to them, but there's a lot going on. Okay, so keep that in mind. KJ, I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you were in attendance in Houston. I actually saw you there. You were in stands chilling, hanging out with the Predator couple and the rest of the super fans. Looked like a great time too, by the way. I want to get you on and get your breakdown of the game in Houston and to see what you thought about, just how it went and such. In my opinion, we looked at a battle of defenses there, and it wasn't as much of an offensive battle as some of the other games that we watched. But it was still entertaining, and I had a good time. So take it from there, man. Do your thing.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, a lot of probably people picked up on the same struggles, but we definitely had hurdles to go through on the offensive side. Starting off, I'd say our biggest struggle point outside of just protecting Jarrett was ball protection. They had at least 2 fumbles, I think, through the course of the game. We obviously started off really slow, didn't get even points on the board, weren't able to score until end of the second quarter when they got a field goal right before halftime. And then I think on our first drive out the gate, they had that initial fumble that gave Memphis the ball right back. So it's just a lot of somewhat clumsy mistakes, I would say, is the simplest way to put it. Ball protection, in my opinion, ball possession, ball protection, and penalties were the 2 biggest factors that led to us losing the game. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we were always in contention and able to make a comeback.
For sure.
Never put it together, which was the biggest heartache of the day for me as a fan. So the biggest thing I took away from watching the progression of the offense through each quarter was obviously everyone can, always pick apart the O-line and certain protection elements. I watched clips of the St. Louis game just to kind of compare it. And to me, the St. Louis line looked worse than ours. And just from the amount of times I saw McCarron having to run for his life, while Jared did have to scramble, and I fully acknowledge that, I think my biggest qualm that I noticed, actually saw a marketable improvement from the first half to the second, was his hesitancy, if you will. I don't know if it was a lack of confidence or just hesitancy to act. But there were often times he was sitting in the pocket over 3 to 5 seconds, which is normally what coaches will dictate to you to say, this is your release time. If you don't see an open receiver, make a play or whatever. And so I think for me, that was the biggest thing I was like, seeking for him to improve on. And thankfully he did in the second half when we were able to kind of run more of a hurry up scheme, I think, through one series and get a full touchdown out of it, which was the only one we scored for that of the day. But obviously kudos to the Showboats. They look great. I quasi wish I was still in Memphis because I could be experiencing the glory of winning week 1. But that's coming from a previous, Memphis Express fan who definitely endured the full 100% loss season. So
Same here, brother. Same here.
But apologies for my voice. I was in full fan mode Saturday, so it's coming back to me after screaming my lungs out. But no, it was a good game. I definitely, like I said, I see glimmers of hope for opportunities of improvement. Obviously, if we can perfect ball protection just in the basic level, whether it's the punt returner, I think we lost one there, as well as just our running game. And then in addition to that, if Jarrett can continue to improve on his efficiency, I say efficiency, I was looking back at the stats. He's technically leading the pack in terms of completion percentage with what's his face from San Antonio. So, I mean, from a making smart decisions throwing, he was doing the right thing. It's just, and I personally am happy to say that out of the 2 options you'd have for a quarterback you'd critique on making poor pass choices versus just holding on to the ball too long, in my opinion, it's easier to get them to just act faster than it is to perfect someone's general accuracy in throwing. So Thankfully for him, accuracy is not the issue. It's a matter of decision-making in the pocket under pressure and maybe being quicker about it in that sense. So, but outside of that, obviously our defense was stout. We kept him within 1 possession all the way there to the end. So, I mean, or 1 score, excuse me. So, I mean, outside of that, I think, the offense is the main area we need to improve. Dumb penalties. The biggest thing that drove me crazy, and I know all the other fans in attendance will echo this, is we had at least 1 occurrence. There were probably more than 1 that I'm missing count on. We had them. Defense was playing great. We got to a 3 and out, and then on the 3rd down pass play, pass interference, or some of their miscellaneous, holding penalty, whatever it may be, just gave them another extension to their series. And it's just like those will kill you in momentum if you can't get the most disciplinary stuff down. So my hope for them is that in the weeks ahead, that's something they can improve on, and we can, at a minimum, I would say, be a middle of the field competitive team, theoretically, maybe better. There's no telling. Our ceiling's high. I guess that's the one positive you can take away from it too.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And I mean, with the score, Memphis Showboats, they had 18, Houston Roughnecks had 12. I mean, it went down to the wire, and what pulled it off for Memphis was a dropped punt return. And the Roughnecks could have pulled this off. I mean, I know the defense really controlled most of this game. Roughnecks were held to 174 yards of offense, while the Showboats only had 228 yards of offense. Our defense for Roughnecks looks pretty stout. Just the offense really has to put it together, and I think we all kind of feel the same on that.
Yeah, we kind of touched on this, I think, outside of the podcast tonight, you and I talking in our group, but I'm excited to hopefully find out how soon Mark Thompson can make it back, because I think having him back in the mix, obviously, they did a good job of staying faithful to the play action, which even a team like St. Louis, who struggled to even get yardage, during their game, I think their commitment to it obviously helped them in the long run when they came back against Michigan. So if we can get him back, and improve that run game, that will only bolster our play action ability and our, I guess you'd call it, potency against other defenses in the league. So.
Yeah, I know we were talking, and I'll be curious to hear a timeline to see when he returns, because he definitely makes a huge impact, and you can tell this team was almost built around that man. So he's got to be there. We'll see how it all unfolds, but there is hope for the Roughnecks, and it definitely doesn't look like the Memphis Express of the past days.
Yeah, we didn't start out with Johnny Manziel, so they actually have a good quarterback. So. No hate on him. Respect.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I talked to Jarrett after the game. They had the post press conference, and I asked him, I'm like, "Are you confident about week 2?" And he looked at me dead in my eyes and said, "Yes, I'm very confident. I'm ready to go." And I think you could see that as he played, man. As you said, as the fourth quarter rolled out, you could see him changing as it goes. And I mean, that's going to happen, especially when you haven't played football in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things I did when I was grading in the preseason on the teams. And I think some people gave me flack about it, and I fully respect that. The fan in general is going to always give the nod to the past champions. And I think initial grades didn't always come out that way, but I think that was where I automatically kind of gave a ranking deduction to certain positional players based on the fact, to your point, if they hadn't seen the light of day on the game field in the very previous season in 2023, that was kind of a dock for me and how I graded people across the board, across the league. So, but yeah, it is good to see the guys that obviously that doesn't always dictate verbatim how things play out.
Agreed. Let's talk about the attendance. We had 9,157 in person there. I think that was the lowest of the week. We averaged 703,000 on ESPN. It wasn't too bad, and it could be a lot worse, but we definitely want better. Seeing as this was the later game on Easter, I expected more TV output, not necessarily people in person, but I expected more to watch on TV. But with that, it was also on ESPN, so that changes the scope and scope of what we're looking at. So
I definitely will commend, I think, the design of Rice Stadium in the sense of how they sold the tickets too was at least partially helpful. Sitting there in the stands where I was at, I was in 116 right down by the field. And after the game kind of got rolling, I think in the first or second quarter, I did take a glance back and saw at least our side of the stands behind the Roughnecks bench. Looked like a full house. I mean, to the most part in that span of the lower stands. So, I mean, it at least looked full. And when I saw that number, I too was kind of surprised how low it was. But it's a myriad of factors. Obviously, Houston, we have so much going on. I was talking to a fellow fan about this in terms of the placement of our season. And it's with Houston, I feel like we're damned if we do, damned if we don't, so to speak, with regards to where they position the schedule. With last year in the XFL, when we started in February, right after the Super Bowl, we were locally battling the Houston Rodeo, which draws in people from all over the country. And then coincidentally now, somebody mentioned to me in passing when we were tailgating that morning on Saturday, was like, it's great we're starting where we're at now, but you can imagine the end of the season, it's going to be so dang hot. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. So doesn't affect the true football fans, but, some of your older folks who are more maybe temperature affected probably will make the choice to view virtually instead of in person because of stuff like that. So
definitely.
It is something they just have to work through and market around, I guess.
Yeah, I was surprised, man, how humid it was just in general. And compared to last season, it was definitely a difference. And it felt just like weather here in Mississippi. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Swamp ass is what they say. So that's what it was. And yeah, we'll see how it all folds up. Now I'll say what Rice holds 47,000, give or take.
I think it's higher than that. Actually,
Is it?
60,
Is it?
It's 60. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I only know that stat from looking up history on the stadium back when I forget what Super Bowl number it was that it may have been the Oilers. I forget what team it was. But anyways, back early 60s, I want to say when they did host a Super Bowl, it has that capacity to its max. Now that may include standing room. I don't know verbatim.
Gotcha.
But, they have a pretty high capacity respective to the other stadiums in the league. So
yeah, regardless, that was my point. Is it's a lot. There's a lot of places to sit, stand, look, view. Even like the press box and stuff was quite different than what I've seen so far in my year of doing this. But definitely an adventure, and we got to get you in that press box as well, Kenneth. We got to get you there, man. We'll get you there, I promise. It took a lot of attempts to get me there. So I was happy to be there, and I appreciate that.
I'll give old Brittany Yater the what's his name? I'm drawing a blank now. The voice.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, Blake Shelton. I'm right here. Yeah.
It's all about face, man. It's just I think I met so many people last year, and I did so much that I got in a little bit.
Yeah.
Not to mention the day prior, I hung out at a fan event and met numerous players, coaches, Brittany, the whole gang, and everybody was there. And that was really good for me, I felt, because I didn't really feel connected to this team. But after that event, really got some personal connections, got to know some guys like Marvin Moody.
Yeah.
Great athlete. Look forward to speaking with him on cam soon. But yeah, man. Good times, and I'm hoping for better regardless, man. I appreciate your breakdown and your thoughts as you come on and spend your night with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. No doubt. Anything you wanna say or plug before you roll out?
Oh, nothing I can think of. I'm looking forward to the remainder, season going forward week by week. I wish I could make it down to Memphis this weekend for that game. It'd be exciting to view, but I'm excited to get back down to Houston when we place Arlington and see how things go there. That I think it's a little rocky looking at our outlook that we have 2 road games back to back. But my hope is that if we can find the success very next week against DC, I'm all for that. If we don't, I won't be going crazy either, though, being a road game. And DC has a great home crowd.
Yeah.
All of the stadiums they get rowdy and they get loud. So respect to the Defenders fan base for that. Don't know how that will obviously affect us from a gameplay perspective, but that's something you have to consider. But I think my fingers crossed, God forbid we don't end up getting a W next week. I think against Michigan, we have a better chance after 2 weeks of really honing everything out, taking time to be able to practice and work through the mistakes and the error points. We can find our heading and our steady points. So.
Yes, sir. Agreed with that 100%, man. Looking forward to the future, and we'll talk more for sure.
Likewise.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night.
You too. All right. So, episode went well. Appreciate all those that attended tonight. Thank you so much. It really did go well. Like I said, when we started this shindig, I didn't want to be the source of all information and be the face of everything. So I like that everyone has a representation of their own teams, has their own opinions, and can really still objectively break down the game. And that's all that matters. You'll see a lot of different game breakdowns from groups all across the board. So if you did watch this, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we look forward to making some more content. All right. Before I hop off, I just want to review quickly the upcoming games. Now, we may have another show come up where we break down these games. We're going to kind of see how it goes. I don't want to kill myself so early in the season. So that's really why I'm kind of just taking it easy as we go. I'll leave out Friday for Memphis, then come back, and then we'll have another show. So trying to just take it easy as we go. Watch social media. If we do that show, I'll definitely post it there before, at least 24 hours before. And it'll always be streamed from Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Always. Let's see. Check the comments real quick. Oh, Jackie. What's up, Jackie? Oh, yeah. Jackie's going to be at the game this weekend. She said, can't wait to see you this weekend. You guys as well. I look forward to it. We actually got an Airbnb very close to the stadium. I mean, it's like right at the stadium. So I look forward to that, man. It should be a good time. It just sucks that it's going to be in and out. Don't really have as much time to look around Memphis as what I did in Houston. So, all right. So let's talk about the upcoming games. Like I said, we're not going to break anything down significantly. I just want to bring up the matchups, where they play, what times, and where you can find it. All right. So first up, Saturday, April 6th, we have the San Antonio Brahmas at Memphis Showboats. That game starts at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, and it plays on ESPN. Okay. So it's going to be a little different than last week. We started with Fox. Today or this Saturday, April 6th, we're starting with ESPN. 11 a.m. So another early game for those Brahmas. So the Brahmas really like the early game, seems like. We'll see how that goes. Should be a good one. I'll be there in person with that Horns Forward crew and all the rowdy San Antonio fans. Look forward to that. Liberty Bell holds a special place in my heart. That's where the Showboats play. Just because of growing up, always seeing it, being there for events, the AAF with the Memphis Express. It's just got a lot of history. So look forward to getting in there and checking everything out. Next up, the next game is Saturday, April 6th. It's the Arlington Renegades at St. Louis Battlehawks. That game starts at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's on ABC. So they space these out a little bit, and I like this better because we missed some of the game last Saturday due to it running over from opening ceremonies. So I'm glad they spaced this out. ABC should be a hot ticket channel as well. We should see a lot of people watching this. Look forward to that game. Should be a good one. Seeing the Battlehawks step up and come back and kick some tail. The third game, Sunday, April 7th, is the Birmingham Stallions at the Michigan Panthers. It's also an early start game, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's on ESPN as well. So like I said, we're starting off this Sunday and Saturday with ESPN games. Hopefully that the viewings tick up, but either way, it's kind of rough with ESPN. ESPN it's axed out of most basic cable channels, and most people aren't going to pay extra for it anymore. It's not worth it for most people, but we'll see how it all plays out. Another early game, so keep that in mind, guys. You'll have to get up and get rolling, especially if you plan on attending that game. And the last game is Sunday, April 7th. It's the Houston Roughnecks at the DC Defenders. It's at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's on Fox. So this is the only game on Fox for the week. It's a little more spaced out as well compared to last week, so we should be able to catch all of it and not miss any as we did last Saturday. Both of these teams need a redemption arc, whether it's DC or Houston. Both need to step up and show what their offenses are about. So looking forward to this one. We'll see how it plays out, and I don't know. I'm really curious to see how these Roughnecks do in this DC Defender territory, because it's going to be rough. You're going to see the beer snake and the lemons, and it's going to be plentiful. Wish I was attending that game also, but can't be everywhere at once, unfortunately. Let me check the comments. Jackie at the Horns Forward. What's up, Jackie? And we had Betty. Betty said, go Brahmas. So, guys, normally when we have a show, I really try to interact with the comments more, but due to just the complexity of having so many people on, it's kind of hard to run everything and interact with the comments 100%. So if you do got anything important to ask or say, please do, and I will try to answer if possible. That basically breaks down the games for next week. Like I said, nothing detailed. Just want to have an overview of when, where, who, and how to watch it. I mean, guys, this league needs you. And if you're watching this right now, I guarantee you, you're already a super fan and doing your part. But week one was a success, in my opinion. Definitely need to see more people out. But as we see more regular football, more exciting football, and instead of the developmental football, we're really going to have more people come out. And I think that's a goal overall, unfortunately. The developmental process really has to move forward. and we got to become a professional league of its own sense. So we'll see what happens. Let me see if I missed anything, guys. Next Tuesday, we'll be back for another episode, 7:30 p.m. Central, same time. I'll have a guest. I was supposed to have a guest this week, but they had to cancel. No biggie. Just, normally I try to have a guest on, so we'll see how it works. So far, I mean, with the success of this week, we'll definitely probably have more contributors come on and break down those games and discuss some things. It's really cool to get everybody involved, and that's really what I want to shoot for with the UFL Insiders. Much less me, more or less everyone, kind of way I feel about it. So like I said, next Tuesday, April 9th, 7:30 p.m. Central, we'll be back. Considering a show for breaking down this next week 2 games, kind of a game preview. Not sure exactly if we want to do it, but if we do, definitely be keeping you guys in the loop and posting on social media. I've got a ton of content to upload and sort through to post. It's just like one thing after another, guys. Today was spent prepping for the show. Last night was spent building the website, adding things to it, and planning for the show. Tomorrow I'll have a guest appearance on a show. So it's just back to back to back. So, but we're doing what we can, and I appreciate all the help from all the contributors and staff on AFN. Everybody's done a great job, and I'm super proud to have them assist in anything. We have people doing graphics to game breakdowns to making social media reels. So it's a really good system, and thank you all for participating if you are listening to this right now. The guys that attended tonight, I'll have their information on the show notes that'll be added everywhere a couple hours following the show. So you can find them on social media, follow them, interact with them. Most of the guys are posting articles on alternativefootballnetwork.com. Check that out. That's our website. We partner with UFL Board, so you'll see a combination of our stuff and UFL Board stuff. And basically just trying to give you what you need to research alternative football. Right now, of course, we're doing UFL for the most part, but as things go, we're going to have more leagues coming, and we do have some connections to other leagues as well. This is a website. If you haven't viewed it, check it out. It looks a little different on mobile, but yeah, this is it, guys. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see this is the news, and you can always go up and hit the news section at the top. It'll bring up everything. Below here, you see that's podcasts, and that's all the podcasts we partnered up with. And here is most of our articles. You see, we got quite a bit. Definitely proud of the guys that are spitting these things out. It's going really well, and I'm impressed. I know personally, I don't want to write. I enjoy it, but with everything else going, I feel like the podcast is my baby. So thank you guys for doing what you do. I greatly appreciate it. Check that website out at home if you get the chance. If not, no worries. Feel free to email me, message me if you have any comments, concerns, or want to ask a question. We will interact, and that's kind of what we do. We want to be the fan knowledge source. We want to really interact with our people, and we're not too good to talk to anyone. We're just normal folks like you. Let's check the comments for our rollout. Rick 8-Bit, appreciate it. Matt, appreciate you, Rick. Rick's got some great content related to old school Nintendo and 8-bit type of football. And I'll have to get next show, Rick. Let's really get something to show off for you. If you send me something, I'll play it. People at home, I mean, it's super retro and super cool, and most people that pay attention like his stuff. So appreciate you, Eric. And XFL Mike G, thank you for giving us the opportunity to do something we love. Hey, I appreciate you guys. It's always easier with a group of like-minded individuals, and that's what we have here. And it's working out very, very well. But anywho, guys, right now for sure the next show is Tuesday, April 19th. Check that out. We'll be back in full gear to break down week 2's games. And yeah, want to say special thanks to UFL Board and the UFL. Appreciate you guys, whether you be partners or just letting me cover the league. UFL, it's a great honor, and I appreciate it greatly. Just know that most of the content and things we talk about here are property of the UFL and not the podcast or AFN. We just kind of do our thing and try to hype them up, UFL board's a great place, and it's been around for a long time. There's a lot of history there, so check that out and give it some appreciation, because it's really what got me started in all this, just being able to work with somebody and somebody take me serious, and it worked well. Comment. Demarcus, what's up, Demarcus? Demarcus said, "Great show. Glad to see the team together on screen." Appreciate that, Demarcus. Rick 8-Bit said April 19th or April 9th. April 9th will be the next show. Have it rolling right there. So next Tuesday, I think I got the date right. Let me look real quick while we're on. Yeah, April 9th. But yeah, guys, that's it for me. I will post where everyone's socials are in the notes and the description after this is over. Catch up with them, follow the website. And like I said, appreciate your support. It's always fun, and just living it up. Looking forward to going to Memphis this weekend. It's been a while, Memphis, so gonna check it out, do some fun stuff, and hopefully watch the Showboats take home that dub, huh? San Antonio fans hating me now. I'm just kidding, guys. We'll see how it plays. Like I said, I'm not really repping the team this year. I'm just covering it. So appreciate you all again. Hope you have a good night. Don't forget about the games this weekend. Support the league, and do your thing, man. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. That's it for me. I'm out.
Go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go home, go hard, go home. Touchdown like an end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, go home, go hard.